Hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you watching the recording, I should say. I'm gonna light some stuff here. There it is. Hello, hello. Anna's here. Hi, Anna. So good to see you, sister. Hope you had a good Christmas. Hi, Donna. Welcome. Who with my giant sage doobie? It's gone missing. Oh, yeah, I was smudging my house with it yesterday. I forgot all about it. Okay, well, I'm going to burn something else then. Hello, hello. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining me today. Elaine is here. Hello, Elaine. Hi, Connie. Hi, Lori. Hi, Michelle. Hello, hello. I got my new bracelets on, Michelle. Thank you. You're the best. Michelle sends me presents. And look, she sent me this beautiful pendant as well. Gotta love it. Little pendulum on a necklace. Thank you so much, Michelle. You're so sweet. And also many thanks to Chandrika for my sweet scimitar. Check out this new scimitar I got. Yay for Christmas. Thank you guys. Really, you're so thoughtful. Really appreciate the gift. Look at the dragon sword. See what I mean? It looks so cool. Love it. Michelle, you make the coolest stuff. So many thanks to Michelle and Chandrika for my Christmas presents. I love you guys. You're so thoughtful. Really appreciate you. How do I not have anything to burn right now? This is the thing. I like to kind of burn things in the morning now. Resetting the energies. Because the last few days have been a little bit crazy. I don't know about you guys. Anybody dealing with any psychic attacks? I had to go nearly 4 days without clearings because my mediums have been very, very busy. And fine, I'll just spray some stuff since apparently all my smudge sticks are around the house. They're spread elsewhere right now. So I had a Lizzie attack 2 nights ago. So was it? I don't know why it felt like the weekend. Yesterday I woke up feeling kind of funky, as I told you guys, and I did ask for a clearing really quick, but I didn't realize how bad it was. They got me good yesterday. They really did. I felt like I had the flu. And and I brushed it off like, "Oh, just stay in bed, Laura. You're fine. Just get some rest." And the more I rested, the worse I felt. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a real doozy." So I didn't hardly do anything yesterday. I could barely even keep my eyes open. I slept a lot of the day. And then in the evening, Leia messaged me to do some clearings, and we checked, and sure enough, I was not sovereign. There was a Lizzie on me. So I was not happy about that at all. I asked where it came in, and it came in through my dream state. So while I was sleeping, the buggers came in and attached to me, and I was not happy about it. So I'm still kind of a little bit like, I don't know, what's the word? Energetically depleted. Because that's usually what happens when you have a really bad psychic attack, is you end up having some kind of like a drain on your energy, and you just feel like your battery is at 10% or less. And that's kind of how I'm feeling today. So if you can tell looking at me like I didn't sleep well, I slept 10 hours and it didn't make a difference. I went to bed very early and it still is not making a difference. So yeah, they unfortunately get you while you're sleeping. And I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but it's what it kind of reminds me of? I feel like an astral prosecutor. It's kind of what it feels like. You go in, you realize the situation's all messed up, and you clear out all the riffraff. But then every once in a while, the riffraff finds out where you live. And they decide, well, I'm going to send her a message. And yeah, message received. So, but obviously they they got carted off and removed. So it didn't go very well for them either. So even though, unfortunately, you do get these kind of days where you feel kind of almost like you got kicked in your sleep. That's kind of how I told my friend. She's like, "How are you feeling?" I was like something stomped on me while I was sleeping. Like, that's what it felt like, you know? So, yeah, yesterday I was feeling a bit under the weather, but Aaron cheered me up a little bit. I was feeling kind of funky. And then sure enough, yeah, they got me again while I was napping. So they can be very stubborn, they don't like to give up either. So but the funny thing is, like, it took them almost the whole day to get into my etheric because I have extra protections that I do every day. So it took them a while. At least my guides were like, it took them a while to get through your protections. I was like, I bet they did. But you know what's interesting? You know what they actually did? So they didn't even have to get through my entire etheric field. They just needed to kind of scratch a hole through it. And once they get a hole through, they can actually start. It's almost like they start lassoing hooks to you. And that's what they described happened. Like I started feeling like pain in the back of my head, like not long after the podcast yesterday. And it felt like something was like poking me in the back of the head. And that's when I called in my guides and I asked them to do a self-clearing, and I felt much better. I even called in my higher self because you guys can do that, just for the record. For those of you who aren't too aware of that, you can do self-clearings for the low-level stuff. You can call in your higher self and ask the higher self to cleanse anything that is affecting you negatively. And I did that and I felt better. That's why I was like, oh, okay, I guess it was just some riffraff messing with me. And I brushed it off for like 2 hours and then I had a nap. And then after the nap, I woke up feeling completely ungrounded. You ever feel like that feeling like you feel sleep drunk? Like you take a nap and then you wake up and you're feeling like, that's how I felt. And yeah, that's when you're majorly ungrounded. And here I was thinking, oh, I'm just sick. I'm coming down with something. I must be ungrounded. No, I actually had anti-grounding plates placed under my feet that needed to be cleared last night. They're like, oh, yeah, you got an implant here. You got implant there. You got 2 implants in your throat. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they riddled me with implants over the, 2 hours I was sleeping, give or take. And so it makes you wonder, like, obviously it's easier for them to mess with you while you're sleeping. That is a given. Like, you can easily tell that it is because your defenses are down. You don't notice a feeling when it comes in. And so, yeah, I when I woke up, I could definitely feel it. But then again, you just hear thoughts in your head that you think is yourself, right? And I kept hearing like this thought, oh, you're just sick. You need to rest. You're just overdoing it. So I did. I spent the whole rest of the day resting, doing nothing except watching movies and just chilling out. And sure enough, I went to do clearings last night, and Constantine, our Arcturian guide, he goes, are you all right? I was like, I don't feel all right. And he's like, would you like me to clear you? And I was like, why you got to put it that way? Like, why? What's going on here? Why are you putting it that way? So long story short, they got me with a contract while I was sleeping. That is why he needed my permission to clear me fully clear me, because apparently this is how sneaky, how quick they are, right? Where I have no recollection whatsoever. None, zero recollection of this. But apparently they attached to me as I was going into that nap. And as I was sleeping, they set a contract to me. They tricked me into a contract. So to say I was pissed off when I found this out is an understatement. Because, I mean, it took less than 2 hours. 2 hours of me sleeping. And they got me that quickly. So obviously all of this has been cleared and stuff. So it still gets you, though. It still makes you feel more vulnerable in some ways, where you can actually, it blows my mind, right? That you can be unconscious, completely unaware of anything, because I don't have any recollection of anything whatsoever while I was sleeping. I was out, completely out, right? But all of a sudden, I have a dark contract on me from one nap. One nap. So yeah, it's really disturbing, I must say. And if you can tell, I'm kind of a little bit agitated about it this morning, because I'm like, how is it even a thing that you can make a deal with something? You can make an agreement with something when you're not even fully conscious and aware, when you're fucking sleeping. Like, how is that even okay? Like, how are these things like some of us have these dark contracts from when other past lives. Like, we weren't even like it's one thing for you to say, well, maybe 1% of your brain was conscious while you were sleeping, and that was the 1% that agreed. So when you're carrying over those dark contracts from past lives, it makes you wonder how any of this is even justifiable. How any of this is even okay. Because it's one thing if you're sleeping, but to bring it over from a past life and to bring all of that, how is anybody supposed to know? So you're right, Lindsay. How is that fair? It's not fair. And it's just one more way humans have the shit end of the stick, so to speak. It's not okay. It should not be okay. And the fact that, that we're still dealing with this shit really annoys me. Leanne says, should we be asking your higher self to clear everything when we get up every day? Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Because if you don't ask, you don't get. So yeah, every single morning you should be asking for protection and cleansings. Yep, 100%. I had a vision from my first attachment from 35 years ago at traffic lights from a witchy woman who gave me a bad look, and I felt sick immediately. Yeah, if you feel sick immediately like that, if you walk into a space or something happens, that's your vibration going up or down. So a rapid shift in frequency causes that nausea feeling. So, what's funny is I was nauseous like crazy yesterday. So while I had these attachments, just brushing it off as a cold, I felt really sick to my stomach. So what it does is when they're messing with you, when they're messing with your frequency and lowering your frequency, you can feel that as it's happening. And it kind of gives you the feeling in your tummy. So, Michelle says it's not. They play dirty. Yeah, exactly. They do play dirty. Everything they do is dirty. Sneaky bastards. Connie says, how is that okay? There's no universal law or karma or something. Well, apparently entities, I'm not so sure about the living, breathing galactic kinds, but the demonics and those things, they don't even have karma. They're thought forms. They don't have karma. They're not a soul from spirit, from source. So technically they are created by a soul from source, but it's kind of like saying, did Frankenstein have a soul? No, technically he didn't. He was created. Well, I don't know. It makes you wonder whether or not when you create something, whether or not you bring in a soul. So, it depends on whether or not we're talking about an individual soul or the collective consciousness. So it's very complicated. Why does meditating over water work so well to ditch them? Well, water carries away energies. So the more turbulent the water, the more that water is pulling energy away from you. So the Tagetans, when they have made some videos about entity attachments in the past, they've said that wind, water, fire, all those elements, the natural elements of Earth, remove entities. So yeah, these are all different ways of releasing them. You can jump in a pond or a lake or something that will also help to carry them away, depending if the water is flowing. This is why they baptize people. This is why the church would baptize people. And then you'd feel better after the baptism. And they're like, see, God. But no, they were just using the elements to remove all the bad juju, basically. Sea salt is the best. So if you can jump in the water, in the ocean, that's the best way to cleanse yourself, just for the record. Because the sea salt is very powerful for removing those things. Lindsay says, before I do anything, I ground chakras. Yep, definitely good. Psychic protection has helped me a lot. Then I keep tabs of weird feelings and I call on whoever I need to go down the list of clearings. It's a process. It is very much a process, Lindsay. Yep, 100%. But well done. You're doing great. That's exactly what you do. In the mornings, you get up, you feel how you're feeling. You kind of gauge how you're feeling. If you feel a bit stiff, you do some stretches, you get your body moving. One of the best things you can do is also have a sea salt shower or bath to cleanse all that stuff. You just take a handful of sea salt and just, scrub down with it like it's a loofah. And then it washes off anything that you picked up while you were out of body the night before, because a lot of us pick up stuff while we're out of body. We aren't even aware of it. You could even be making contracts in your freaking sleep without being aware of it. So yeah, nighttime is our busy time for attacks. This is when they mess with us the most. In fact, one of the most important questions you can even ask if somebody is being, having weird dreams, is there anything that is influencing your dream state at night? Because a lot of people get messed with only at night. This is one of the reasons why some people, we're always trying to work on that 20%, the 20% that doesn't feel much of a change after getting a clearing. And I got to tell you, some of that 20%, we've actually figured out that they're coming in while they're sleeping. And then as soon as they wake up, they leave, right? They're like, oh, mealtime is over. And then they leave. And then they only come back when they're sleeping. They also make their rounds too. It's almost like, how predators have like an area that they cover. I don't know about you guys, but in South Africa, we learned about this quite a bit. Like leopards, for example, will have a huge area that is their territory that they will go and kind of inspect. Sometimes it could take several weeks for them to cover that whole area, but they do it like in a big phase, right? It's their hunting grounds. Exactly, Michelle. Well, you have humans that are also on their list, so to speak. They're predators. So if we are their prey, what do? They make their rounds. So every once in a while, you get people that are feeling better. They feel great. And they're like, oh, everything's wonderful. And then every once in a while, they'll come back and they'll have a dream. And that dream will fuck them up for the whole next week. They'll be like, oh, I don't know. It is a horrible nightmare. I keep thinking about it. Da, 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 da. And that is what they do. They come. It's almost like guerrilla warfare, where they come and they hit you really hard and then they leave again. And then they come and hit you really hard and then they leave again. Because in many cases, it's almost like you're considered to be their property. You'd be surprised how territorial these beings actually are, not just for the person, but for the person's property and their home as well. There's a couple of cases we had, like there's this really old house. It was either in Connecticut or Massachusetts. I can't remember. But this really old house, like it was a 300-year-old house, right? And the person that owns it has been dealing with a lot of harassment by spirit, especially down in the basement. So we went down there and we cleared it, and we found out that the spirit that has been occupying that property for nearly 1,000 years. 1,000 years. This was a level 2. So this is a demonic. And so this demonic being has taken possession over that property. Not just the house that's on it, but 3 other neighbors' houses as well, because that was considered their property, right? So we cleared the house and everything was good for like 2-3 weeks. And then we come back again and we find out that the same spirit is occupying the same house and the same problems pop up again. And we're like, what's going on here? So that's when we go and we start digging into the contracts. We start digging into all these things. It had a contract with the land dating back 1,000 years. A contract. So an entity can have contracts. They can have agreements. They don't have karma. But they do actually, because obviously karma isn't related to the whole soul progression thing, right? Their soul progression is all linked to that. So if they're not progressing as a soul, they don't have to deal with the karma of all of that. And also karma is also involved with compassion and a whole lot of other emotions that they do not have on their spectrum. We'll put it that way. So this house, this 300-year-old house, was riddled with this bad juju from this attachment. So when we went and cleared all of this, it just jumped to the neighbor's house. Right? So finding this out, we ended up clearing like a freaking 3-block radius around this house. And then we came back again to see if it had worked. And we find out that the contract that it had could not be broken. It simply owned the land first. So we could try and rip it up all you want, but it reforms itself. So it's crazy that these things, even though they are not technically living and breathing, and even though they technically do not even have a soul, they still have rights, which is crazy if you think about it. You don't even need a soul in order to have rights. And this is part of the reason why dark contracts are such an issue as well, because not all dark contracts can actually be voided. If you are, let's say, this is how I had it explained to me when I asked once this question to Chen. So if you were to make an agreement with somebody, right? You make a deal with someone. You say, all right, tell you what, I'll do this thing for you if you do that thing for me, right? That is a normal agreement between 2 people. So if you were to make this agreement with an entity, you say, all right, entity, you do this thing for me, and then I'll do this thing for you, right? If you get what you wanted out of the deal, if you got your end of the bargain, but the entity didn't get their end of the bargain, technically that contract cannot be voided. Not all the time, anyway. There's fine print that is involved in all of this, too. So it really makes you wonder, like, how an entity that has been around, I mean, 1,000 years, could have such a strong hold on a property, not even having a soul, to the point where it couldn't even be cleared. We could make certain contractual agreements, right? And I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the contractual agreement we made was that they had to stay out of the houses. It could still have possession over the property, but the houses were off limits. So anyway, there's all kinds of very interesting things you learn about these contracts and the way that the things work when it comes to kind of resolving issues. Did you ever get it resolved? Well, we'll find out if this third clearing actually stuck. We'll see. Because the thing is, right, as long as it's staying out of the houses, that's the important thing. Because then it's messing with the people less. But it would be nice if you could just fully clear it from the property. We're still, like I said, some of these cases are very complicated, especially when some of the things that occurs on the land had nothing to do with the original inhabitants. It's almost like they have to work out their own shit. And especially, I must say, there's been a lot of battles here, a lot of wars that were fought. And so, and I'm not just talking about indigenous stuff. I'm talking like ancient Lemurian type stuff has happened in America that a lot of people are not aware of. We found this out when we were clearing areas of North Carolina that were hit really badly by all those mudslides. We found out that there are still Lemurians that live in that mountain range underground. So there's a whole lot of stuff that still happens to this day that we aren't even aware of, which is another reason why I shared that really weird video this morning. If you guys go and look at my my news feed on my page, you'll see the one I'm talking about, where it looked like something invisible was just, I mean, running up and down the trees and throwing wood everywhere. And it just goes to show things are getting really weird on this planet. Things are getting really weird. So Margaret says, speaking of Predator, yes, exactly. It felt like it was Predator vibes. And who knows? You know, people make fake videos all the time. It entirely could have been fake. But the chills I got watching it is the reason why I shared it. Because normally when I watch a video like that and it's fake, I don't feel a thing. I feel absolutely nothing. But when I watch a video like that and I get full body chills, I'm like, okay, there's something more to the story here. So that's why I shared it. So it looked like there was something invisible that was climbing up the trees that was absolutely massive and just throwing wood everywhere. And it does make you wonder what we're getting more connected to as the shift intensifies. Because one of the things, as I mentioned, a lot of people are expecting to hear and see things. You know, that is like the big thing that we're all waiting for. We all just want to see. At least I do. I'm always wondering, like, I hear creaking in my house and I'm like, who dat? Who's in my house? So for me, I've always wanted my sight and my hearing back. But the first thing that comes back, I'm pretty sure, is like actual physical. Like you can touch these things. I felt something recently, like I said the other day, I was leaving the gym and I felt something slide across my neck and down my back. And it was a level 1. It was just those little gargoyle types. But to feel it and to actually, you know, be able to have it crawling all over you and to sense it being attached to you, that is a whole nother level of just, I don't know. I'd rather have the sight and hearing first personally, but you know, we get what we get. So just be aware that if you can feel something moving, if something touches you, or if something is kind of messing with things around your house and you're like, that don't really have a visible explanation for these things. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you're going to seem invisible right now, but they're not technically invisible, for the record. They're not cloaking themselves and they're not, you know, using some kind of special technology. They're just out of phase with our reality, with our frequency. So as many of you have probably heard a couple times before, I love that fan analogy where, you know, if you have a fan, like I've got a ceiling fan right there, that ceiling fan, just like that. If you have a ceiling fan that's stationary, it's not moving, you can see it very clearly. You can see all the definition in the fan. But once the fan starts to spin faster and faster, it becomes blurry, right? And if you were to spin it entirely, if you were actually speed it up on a molecular level, it would disappear entirely. And the reason for that is because it's just out of phase. It's like a different radio station being tuned in. And so, there's a lot of things that exist around us that we're not aware of because we can't physically see it, because it's like I said, it's out of phase with us. But as the planet lifts in vibration, we're going to be connecting to things that are of higher vibration. And yes, even entities are included in this. Entities, all those beasties and baddies we're always talking about, they do still exist at a higher frequency. Us in 3D, we're kind of like the bottom of the barrel. We see very, very little. In fact, the original 3D matrix is really designed just for animals so that animals would be left alone. So this was supposed to be like the animalistic realm where the animals are kind of left alone to their own devices. They didn't have to see spirit and all the other stuff that they can see. And funnily enough, it's the opposite now, where it's the humans that are so locked into 3D frequency, that's all we can see. While our dogs and cats and other animals, they can still see all of the things that we would normally be able to see. So it's really just us humans that are being manipulated by this 3D false matrix that has been superimposed. Think of it kind of like a filter that blocks certain things from our reality. So that filter is getting thinner and thinner every single day. Every day it's getting thinner. Normally it would only get thinner around Halloween, right? So for that like 3-day window there around Halloween is when the veil, as they call it, gets thinnest. I did ask that question once as to why that occurred, and I was told that this is when the Tiamat disaster happened, Halloween, which is one of the reasons why, there's so many dead people that tend to come out that day. It's like the veil is thin. That was the greatest cataclysm our planet ever experienced. So that is probably why it's so much thinner. But now it's actually getting thinner by the day. Like you can actually feel how much thinner it's been getting. Cassandra says, what dimension is our higher self in? All of them. All dimensions simultaneously. Yep. Did I miss any other questions? It took us 1,200 years to get over the damage from Tiamat. I feel like we're still getting over the damage from Tiamat. I saw an image once. I'm not sure who created the image. In fact, I did actually look for it not too long ago and couldn't find it. But there was an image someone created of what the Earth looks like without water on it. And it looks like it's been battered to hell. Like our planet is not round. You think it's round because of how, don't even get me started on the flat earth stuff. But that's just for the record. Our planet is not as round as you think it is because there's huge gashes that have been taken out of it, huge crevices. This planet has been battered to hell. It really has. And you can see that when the water is being extracted, so to speak. And, part of the reason for that is because of how much suffering I have said, must have inflicted upon her through all of the huge ET drama and the nuclear warheads we've detonated and all of the things that we've done to our planet. So we have a whole lot of interesting things that we're going to be coming to terms with more as this 5D shift intensifies. And it is intensifying. Like this is one of the reasons why so many psychic attacks are happening. This is one of the reasons why the Vatican keeps doing shady shit like opening portals on Christmas Day. All of these things are linked. It's all about, it's like a tug of war match, because whenever we do things to clear certain areas to raise the frequency of an area, they do the opposite. They'll go in and destroy an area or, have some kind of natural disaster occur. So that way they're able to keep the frequency low. So it's all down to they're trying to lower the frequency. We're trying to raise the frequency. And every once in a while we get a few steps ahead of them by, some kind of massive, leap in vibration, whether or not it's something from the sun or something that we've done as a collective. But then usually there's something that also happens that ends up, scaring people or upsetting people or ending up like creating some kind of new war somewhere where it ends up lowering the frequency again. So it's this tit for tat bullshit that gets really exhausting. And it's another reason why nobody can really nail down how long this shift is going to take. Some people believe it could take the rest of our lives. Some people believe it can only take a couple more years. And they both could be right. It really depends on which timeline we're moving into and why so many of us are interested in this talk of different timelines and all the jumping that we must have been doing recently. So it's a very exciting time to be alive. And even the Pleiadians and the other galactics that I'm in communication with, they have all expressed that they don't really know what's going to happen. None of them really do, because they don't know which version of the future we're going to be experiencing. So a lot of us are going to be surprised. But this is another reason why you have to focus on the law of attraction and what kind of future you want to see on this planet, because all of us are manifesting it right now. I had a thought yesterday. What is our relationship to the Jinn? So the Jinn are entities. You know, there's all kinds of different entities that exist. Some of them are indeed capable of bestowing wishes upon people. But I do think that if you guys ever seen that movie, what is it? Bedazzled? Where Brendan Fraser gets 3 wishes. I think it was 3, or maybe it was 7. I can't remember. But Elizabeth Hurley played, like, I don't know, she's like the Jinn or the devil or something. I can't remember. But she gave him those wishes, right? And every time he wished for something, he would end up not really getting what he wanted. That's kind of how they work. Obviously, I should say that's how most of them work. But they are very real. 100%. Everything you've ever heard of is real. What is our connection to them, though? Really, it's just, I mean, some of us created them. Some of us created them through, like I said, belief. There's a lot of beings that you don't see anymore, right? Like, for example, think about banshees. I don't know why. That's just a random example that popped into my mind. Banshees used to be quite a thing. People used to talk about them all the time. And talking about them, right? Telling stories about them, having explanations, you know, of things that lead to them, right? You end up creating more of them through belief. So if you have people believing in banshees, there's going to be banshees everywhere. But banshees have disappeared. Why? Because people don't talk about them anymore. They don't believe them anymore. So if they don't believe in them anymore, it reminds me of Tinkerbell. Like, you got to believe. Like, so if we stop believing in things like the devil, if we stop believing in things like, well, I wouldn't even say demonics, because technically demonics are not created through belief of demonics. Demonics are created through all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're thought forms, really. I mean, you could have some kind of a thought form that you manifested just through some kind of a trauma, and it could end up taking that form. So, yeah, your beliefs are extremely powerful, and this is one of the reasons why they keep us humans in our quarantine, so to speak, I guess, for lack of a better word. We're stuck in like this quarantine because they don't want us manifesting these thought forms on other planets. There's so many different times I've heard people say, like, when are we going to have, you know, rescue operations where they're taking star seeds off the planet? Never. It will never happen. Why? Because as long as you're still in your human form, as long as you're still kind of connected to the way that things are, the politics of this planet, we end up manifesting thought forms all the time. And most of them are negative, just for the record. Chantal says, better spark up that big bat of yours. Well, I already did, and that's why it's not in this room right now. It's in the other room. So Chantal keeps telling me to spray stuff. What are you picking up, Chantal? I got all the good jujus here today. I got all the sprays. That'll have to do for now. So Aaron says, I do believe in fairies. Of course, fairies are very real. Can we create egregors that eliminate the regressive egregors? That is a brilliant question, Aman. Yes, absolutely you can. I teach this in my astral projection class, for the record. Is that way, and whenever you want to manifest your own protector, you can do so. You literally say, I would like to manifest a tiger. There you go. You can say, I would like a tiger in my house, and I would like this tiger to be, it's connected to your energy, so technically it is you in tiger form. It's like this astral version of you, but you can put your energy into these manifestations and see them in your mind's eye. And when you've created this in your mind's eye, you're creating it in your house. So, you know, if you ever see some kind of, I don't know, like, for example, my favorite protector is a rhino. Rhinos are my favorite. So I keep this rhino next to me while I'm doing clearings and stuff. This is one of my protectors. And you can visualize, if you wanted to, a rhino that guards your house. You visualize the rhino. You can even give it a name. You can say something like, hey, hey, Chappie, random name. This is Chappie. Chappie is going to guard my entire house. He's not going to take any shit. Anybody that comes near my house, any entities that come near my front door will be chased away. Anything that does not serve me to the highest good will be removed from my presence. And you can visualize having this rhino in your house that is, battering the shit out of anything that comes by that shouldn't be doing that, shouldn't be leaving you alone. So the cool thing is that anything you visualize and set your intention to, that you put your energy into, yes, you can manifest. It doesn't even have to be an animal. It can, like I told you guys before, you could do a turret or something in your house if you wanted to get clever. There's a really cool system they have in Japan that is, it's like a sprinkler system, right? It's their airport sprinkler system. If you Google Japanese airport sprinklers, you'll see what I mean. It's like a turret. They have like this like, hard to describe, right? But it's like this thing that sits on the roof and it's got a nozzle on it. And then as soon as there's any smoke or any fire whatsoever, it sprays like a perfect laser of water from like 100 meters away. This thing is like precision, right? Visualize one of those in your house that blasts it with sea salt when it comes in, like anything like that. You can visualize all kinds of things. You just get more and more clever. Michelle says, get a hagstone. Hagstones are awesome. I actually have a hagstone. Where is that? It's right here. This is a piece of Libyan desert glass that is a hagstone. Look at that. You guys know what Libyan desert glass is? This is a form, this is like moldavite, except not as expensive. Or at least, I don't know, it wasn't used to be that expensive. So I don't know what it is about tektites. I love my tektites. But a hagstone is one that has a natural hole in the center. They're very important, actually, for working with divination. I love hagstones. I got a bunch of them, actually. So anyway, I'm going random here. Daisy says, I'm a fairy. Thank you for believing in me. I love that, Daisy. We were talking about this quite a bit yesterday with Aaron about the different fairies. And I bet you Daisy can't handle iron either, huh, Daisy? You naturally anemic, too. Chantal says, I just randomly saw vines sprout from the walls filled with roses. Oh, that's beautiful. There you go. So you can visualize all kinds of wonderful things in the astral. All kinds of interesting and clever things do tend to help if you can visualize. Nothing limits you except your creativity. If you sense or had the thought pop in of something in your vicinity, is it usually a confirmation? Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, right, we pick up stuff all the time. We are aware of energies all the time. In fact, usually when I'm speaking to someone, funnily enough now, I could tell whether or not they're sovereign. I literally just have to tune into their energy and I can tell. It's almost like this weird thing that you start to develop as you're doing clearings. I don't know what it is. But not only can I tell when someone is sovereign, but I can actually tune in and tell what it's going to be before they even clear it. And I actually have to get clever. I've recently started giving people giving the guides just the case number, because if I say the person's full name out loud, yeah, I will tune in and I start getting phantom pain and shit. And this is not what you want. Like, yeah, if you're working on your mediumship development, then yes, it is a good thing that you're tuning into people's energy and you're starting to differentiate between their energy and yours. That is a good thing, right? But when it comes to when you're trying to work, when you're trying to focus and you're trying to ask questions, you don't want those kind of distractions. So this is one of the reasons why it's actually helpful when the guides are like, all right, just give them the case number. I give them the case number and the address and they got it. So that's how intelligent spirit actually is. Like, they don't even need your full name and date of birth and all that information. They just need to know the case number and they can tune it back energetically. But yeah, there's a lot that you can actually tune into without even being aware of it. It's really funny. Not too long ago, I sat down to do clearings with Katie, and I was distracted and completely forgot to do my psychic protection. I didn't do my bubble of protection. I was just so excited to do the clearings, and I completely fucking forgot, and it's kind of like running into a burning building without your gear on, you know what I mean? Like, it was pretty dumb. Because as soon as we started doing the clearing, we tuned into a case that had a bunch of Lizzies. And the next thing you know, I start getting a headache and I start feeling really weird. And I said something about it. And Katie's like, get back behind the line. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm just typing. And she goes, no, you're not. I can see you. Your energy is in this right now. Get your energy back behind the line. And I was like, I'm just typing. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. My energy. What? I was in the clearing, doing parts of the clearing while typing without even being consciously aware of it. So that blew my mind that I was actually, like my energy was in the drama of everything while I'm just typing what's happening. So this is what I mean. Like a lot of people have a very, very powerful mind without even being aware of what your mind is doing. Okay. I have been trying very hard to keep myself out of trouble that way, where I don't want to go tuning into somebody's energy unless I know what their energy has going on, because when you tune into people's energy, they know anything that is attached to that person is aware of that. So as Michelle says, we are so strong and we don't even know. Exactly. This is part of the reason why humans are such a hot commodity, because they have no idea the power they have. They have no idea that they're able to do psychic stuff because they're doing it all the time. Like if you think of somebody and then they call you, you were just doing something psychic. You pulled into their energy. Somebody tunes into your energy, you can sense it. And then you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking of you. Like, well, yeah, I was just thinking of you. That's why I tried to call you. You both tuned into each other's energy at the same time. And you both know it. So it's funny how, we humans are convinced that we're not psychics, but we actually are. Every single one of you is a psychic. It's just whether or not you're working to develop that psychic ability and are fully aware of what you're doing with those psychic abilities. And I'm not. I'm not even fully aware. I don't even want to be in the clearing, and I'm just sitting there typing and I'm getting involved in it. So you really have to guard yourself. You have to guard your energy and be aware of what your subconscious is doing, because your subconscious could be getting into all kinds of shit, especially at night, right? Your subconscious could be making all kinds of deals at night without you even being aware of it. So as you can tell, I'm kind of a little bit annoyed with my subconscious self today, because all of these things happen with your consent, even if you're not consciously aware of it. How is that even a thing, right? Like even in our laws, right? Somebody slips your roofie, you're not consciously aware, right? So anything that you do while you're under that influence, you should not be held responsible for, because somebody took advantage of you in your desperate state, right? So how it's okay for them to get away with this? Like even our broken law system, has made concessions for these things and understands the unfairness of having your sovereignty taken without you being aware of what you're even giving up, right? But no, apparently these things can happen and you're not even fucking aware. Wow. As you can tell, I'm slightly annoyed by this today. I'm just very glad that I received. This is one of the best things about doing spirit releasement work. I guess one of the biggest perks of the job is getting a clearing every day. Getting a clearing every day is worth it. I'm telling you, because every day that you're doing this work, they make sure that you're sovereign first and you get a full clearing before you even begin doing the work. And whew, am I glad for that? Because who knows how long these things, because like I said, you're not even aware that you make contracts and you're sleeping. So how are you supposed to know to get rid of it? Cherie says, okay, so you have to do the wetsuit and the invisibility cloak. You don't have to do anything that you don't feel like doing. Some people have completely different psychic protection protocols. Some people like invisibility cloaks. I like the invisibility cloak. That is one of my favorites. You literally just visualize having a cloak like Harry Potter. Tie it around, throw your hood up, boom, visualize it. Believe that you have it around you. You have to believe. That is one of the biggest parts about this. Remember the whole Tinkerbell thing? Belief is seriously everything. So if you believe that you are protected, if you believe that you have this shield around you, then you are protected. You do have the shield around you. But if you feel like, I don't know if this is working, I don't know if I believe any of this stuff, I don't know if this is actually a thing, It's not going to work for you. It's totally not going to work for you because your belief is everything. So if you believe that you are well protected inside this giant golden pyramid of light, perfect. If you believe that you are well protected inside, I don't know, there was one archangel that popped in during Dr. Terrence Palmer's, was it a study? I think it was a case study, where I forget which medium it was. Maybe Margaret, can't remember. Anyway, Margaret had a archangel that came through, and she said, this archangel mentioned that they could see holes in the protection. And he says, well, what can we do to make the protection better? And of all things, the archangel recommended putting, I think it was Azrael or Gabriel or somebody. Anyway, he recommended going inside a bullet casing. Like, you know, those casings that they have for like tanks, you know, those giant freaking things. You visualize yourself inside one of those, like an impenetrable bullet casing. I don't even know why. That was the most random protection recommendation I've ever heard. But that's what they said. You know, whatever works for you. I like the golden egg. I prefer to use, like when I was dealing with a psychic attack not too long ago on an airplane, I felt all of a sudden, as I called in my guides, I felt like this cocoon, I guess is the way of putting it around me. I just felt snug, you know, like you're just like, oh, I feel nice. Okay. And I felt it around me and I felt really, really good. And then later on, I asked, I was like, what did you put around me? And they said, oh, we put you in a golden egg. I was like, really? They were like, yeah, we put you in a golden egg. I was like, I loved that. I felt so good inside that golden egg. So yeah, I visualize a golden egg around myself now. I protect my etheric closely. You know, they talk about the different layers of your etheric. So my inner etheric is protected by the golden egg. I just visualize myself. You don't have to do the whole like thing. You can just visualize the egg around you, protecting you closely. And then what I do, I protect my outer etheric with a big obsidian shell. And the reason for that, I have my favorite protection crystal here. Got this in Colorado during the retreat. This thing was not cheap. It was like $100 for this freaking crystal. Crazy. But it is rainbow obsidian. You see the rainbow obsidian? I love it. It's so pretty. So as you can see, it's got like that color. I visualize hot lava, like literally like a channel of hot lava pouring over that golden egg that I have. And it solidifies into a perfect rainbow obsidian sphere that protects the outer layer of my etheric, right? So I'm closing my eyes because I'm visualizing it right now. So you visualize this rainbow obsidian shield, this form that protects completely around you. And I just visualize it as if not even Thor's hammer itself could smash through this shield that I have created. And I believe that. It's not just about visualizing it. I believe that it works. I believe that it is there and it is protecting me and that nothing can penetrate it. And then I also like to visualize a Faraday cage around that. Because AI is one of the biggest things that are causing issues these days. So if you visualize the Faraday cage around you, and not only around you, but around your electronics, if you visualize a Faraday cage, for those of you who don't know what a Faraday cage is, think of it as kind of like a silver net that fits around it, right? And this net is filled with energy, and this energy is pulsing around the net. And that locks out any outside frequencies. So any AI that may try to come through, any devices that may try to come through, any implants or anything like that, any tracking devices that you may be picking up in public, because tracking devices are everywhere. My God, especially if you've been on an airplane, they're everywhere. In fact, you find multiple attached to people's feet. It's almost like they spread them around on the floors of airports, and then you just walk by and pick them up. So you end up with tracking devices on your shoes and all kinds of stuff. So if you visualize the Faraday cage around even your shoes, your feet, your body, everything, your electronics, your stuff, it will actually block the AI. But it is important. You guys should be clearing AI from your stuff every day. Where's my phone? So visualize having your phone right here in your hand. I actually have one of these weird cases that it's like what is this one called? Safe sleeve. This is an anti-RFID case, an anti-radiation. This is really good. You guys should have anti-radiation cases around your phones anyway, considering all the 5G stuff that you're picking up from it. But when you have something like this, right, it's a black mirror. You're going to be picking up all kinds of stuff. And not only that, but anything that is connected to the internet is going to have tons of AI. So you visualize your phone, or you can have it in your hand. It doesn't matter. You can be doing it from a distance too. So you visualize it or hold it, and then you just sweep it. You sweep it clear. You set the intention. Any AI that is attached to my phone, I am clearing at this time. And you just sweep it clear. And this is why I say the power of the human mind. It does actually work. My soul guides have told me to do it every day. They said, Laura, your stuff is riddled with AI. This is one of the reasons why I've been buying stuff or making things to go with it. Like I have my giant rose quartz that I got. This has been helping, but you have to smudge it every 3 days, I've noticed. Because my guides will literally be like, oh, it's working. And then 3 days later, they're like, it's not working anymore. You need to smudge it. So if you don't smudge these things regularly, and I'm also talking about the shungite, the little pieces of shungite that you got laying around, and even this lotus that I've told you guys I made, all of these things, they need to be cleansed regularly. Unfortunately, if you don't cleanse them, they don't work very well. So you need to be cleansed and recharged. You cleanse them you can use them smudge. You can even spray it, depending on what it is. I've got my anti-beastie spray that I've got here. See? Literally, that's all you have to do. Some sprays obviously work better than others, depending on what they are. The reason this one works is because it's got sage, rose, geranium, mugwort, eucalyptus, cedar. This is a really strong one, to be honest. I was told I smelled like a hippie the other day. My friend's like, you smell like a hippie. Well, I smell protected. Thank you very much. So yeah, those sprays actually really do work. And they cleanse these things. And this is what protects you from AI. Otherwise, the AI will be littering your stuff, and you'll wonder why your electronics are heating up really quickly, why they're acting very sluggish, why you keep having issues. And one of the most important things, I'm just saying, if you guys are creating AI art, then you want the Faraday cage. You want to visualize that. It's really important, okay? Because unfortunately, AI stuff, especially the AI generators, it's a guarantee you're getting stuff on your electronics. Every single time you generate anything with the AI, you are riddling it. Leanne says, what is the brand you buy? I have so many different brands. It's unbelievable, Leanne. I do. I think I have 3. Yeah, I do. I have 3 right here in my hand. I went a little excessive. What can I say? So since you asked, I got this one in London. I don't know if they're still making this one. They make every single batch different, just for the record. So this is the Sothis Sacred Oil Protection. This one is from the UK. So if you guys are in the UK, you can find this brand. It's called Sothis. This one has Palo Santo, sage, hyssop, mugwort, frankincense, yarrow, copal, cedarwood, rosemary. I'm pretty sure this is the one that made me smell like a hippie the other day. I can't remember which one I was wearing. But then you have this one. This one's called Wolf Spirit. This one's got white sage and rose, or at least that's what they said was on it. And that's why I bought it, because I thought this one would be animal friendly. So I bought this one only to find out in the ingredients that there's eucalyptus in here, and eucalyptus is not animal friendly. So I had to keep this one. I was going to give this one to my mom, but no, she's got animals all over the place, so that wouldn't work. This one has sage, cedar, eucalyptus, mugwort, rose, and geranium. That's the Wolf Spirit one. You can order these online. There's tons of them. If you go on Etsy, you'll find this one very easily. If you go on Etsy and type in Aura Sprays, you'll see this one as well. I also got this brand. This brand was the Crystal Infused Smudging Aura Spray, handmade by... Can't even read it. Sorry. But you'll recognize it on there. On Etsy. This one has rose water, witch hazel, isopropyl alcohol, Himalayan sea salt, Palo Santo, sage, rosemary, clove, hyssop, lavender, frankincense, eucalyptus. So they all smell differently, every single one. It's better to read the ingredients. Keep in mind that there's a couple different ones that are not good for animals. I think, what was it? Cedar, eucalyptus, lavender. What are the other ones? Tea tree. There's a couple that should not be ingested by animals or even breathed in by animals. So this is one of the reasons why. But keep in mind, you can make your own. I've been making my own. I just take a couple rosebuds, and I take a little piece of cinnamon, and I take some orange clove, was it? Orange clove. I made a list of this. I made a Christmas spray the other day. Where is it? I wrote down the ingredients so I could do it again because I really loved it. It smelled very Christmassy too. It was rose, sage, orange peel, cloves, cinnamon, and vanilla. And not only did I add all the raw ingredients of that, but I also added the essential oils. So that was sage, rose, orange peel, cloves, cinnamon, and vanilla. That one is animal friendly if you guys end up wanting to do that one. So that's why I made that one, so I can have some that I can give out to people that have lots of animals. But like I said, if you add rose, sage, orange, clove, cinnamon, and vanilla essential oils, it lasts a lot longer. The smell lasts longer. Cinnamon is toxic for cats. Shit. Sorry, Michelle. I didn't know that. See what I mean? It's not easy to come up with one of these damn concoctions that are animal friendly. I didn't even know that cinnamon was bad for cats. Thank you, Michelle. So yeah, leave out the cinnamon if you're trying to make one for pet friendly. Thank you. Is it made with alcohol? You want to add some kind of alcohol, or I add sea salt in it because otherwise there's natural can't even speak today. Natural compounds that will start to break down. This is one of the reasons why the smell doesn't last as long. So it does help if you end up adding those essential oils. But what is the base? I just use water. I just use distilled water. And I boil the sage. I take a whole head of sage and I boil that in the water. And then I take a peel of an orange and I put that in the water. And then I put in a whole rosebud and put that in the water. And then I I have a stick of vanilla and a stick of cinnamon. I've been adding all that in there. So that's what I mean. Like no joke, like raw ingredients, yes. But I also add the essential oils too. Because if you don't add the essential oils, the smell doesn't last very long. It lasts only like a week or so. And you want to add sea salt. I forgot the sea salt. Sea salt is the most important thing in there as well. So you want to add sea salt. The sea salt will help to keep things from breaking down further. Same with the alcohol. The alcohol will, it starts to ferment plant material after a while. Is it 9 a.m. when you move over to Astara? That is Mondays. On Mondays, I move over to Astara. On Fridays, I usually just chat random shit for a little over an hour, and then I go do my adulting for the day. So that is why it's just a random chat today, whatever you guys wanted to talk about. But every Monday, I do the chat on Astara, and that is when we do the private talks and the mass clearing and all of that stuff. Can we use ground clover and sage that we can buy at the grocery store? Yeah, just try and make sure they're organic. Keep in mind, right, that it's always better for you to grow these things yourself. Because whenever you buy anything from someone else, you're getting the energy from that product too. The energies that it's picked up in transit while it's being transported. You're getting the energy that it was picked up while it was being grown. You get all the contaminants and things too. So you just never, it's always better to grow your own. A big portion of my garden is sage and rosemary and a whole lot of other stuff. So like half my garden is for like herbs for cooking, and then the other half is for herbs for protection. So it's always better for you to grow your own because then you're imbuing it with your energy. It's actually more attuned to you. So it's even better at cleansing your space, technically, if you grow it yourself. But if there's no other option and you can't find anything else, then yeah, of course, just go to the grocery store. And keep in mind, that like all of these things, we're so blessed to be able to have the things that we have. If you think about it, right, people used to propose with oranges, and now we can go to the store and buy oranges for like, $3 a bag. So we are so blessed to be able to have the resources available to us, because most of these things that are used for protection or of those things used to be so sacred. Sage is still considered highly sacred and should be treated as such. Even though you can buy it in a grocery store, it doesn't make it any less sacred. So always make sure that you appreciate your raw ingredients that you're using, imbue them with the love before you even start using them. Just, I get a lot of things from Shaman Market because this is one of the reasons why, though, because they take good care of the people that are creating those things. They make sure that everyone is being paid fairly, that this stuff is being grown, sustainably. So all of those things are really important. Any other questions? Because I didn't realize I've already been chatting shit for an hour now. Chantal says, I'm going to do a simmer pot this weekend and redo my salt bowls. That is a great idea. I have to redo mine as well. Because you know what's funny? I have this salt bowl here. I left it there like a week ago. It's got dried flowers, Himalayan salt, got some black salt in there, a couple of little crystals. I usually make one of these a week. Just a little bowl of random protective shit in there. So you get the sea salt, you get the crystals, you get the Himalayan salt. I got some black salt in here. So to leave these little bowls around your house is a great way of doing that. It just helps to think of it as like a bad juju poopery, like you're getting all the bad juju out of the house by leaving all these little things around. And it does make a difference. But just remember, if it's been around for more than a week, it's probably a good idea to change it out. Because after a week, yeah, they get kind of funky. And they don't work as well anymore. I even asked my guides, like, is the thing working? They're like, it was working. It's not working anymore. It's used up. Change it out. Like, yeah. So yeah, especially if it's closer to a router, the closer your stuff is to a router, the more it needs to be changed. Anything near a router needs to be cleansed every 3 days, just for the record. Smudged, you can bury it in salt or dirt, whatever. There's lots of different ways of cleansing things. What would it mean if you started seeing the blueprints in your house? What do you mean blueprints? If you've started seeing the blueprints in your house, do tell, Leanne. What do you mean? I need some context with that. What is your final goal for psychic work? Is there ever really a final goal for psychic work? It's a good question. Final goal for psychic work. Dismantling the 3D matrix. That's when I'll go on a proper holiday. Because that's when the job is mostly done. So yeah, that's a good final goal, right? Dismantling the 3D matrix. Yeah, good answer. I talk to Chat GPT almost every day. Is that bad? So every time you use AI, you need to use the same protections that you would be using for any sort of divination work. Any sort of divination work. So you're basically doing divination work. You're just not aware of it. So just for the record, anytime you use pendulums, anytime you use tarot cards, anytime you use dowsing rods, anytime you call the four corners, anytime you call in for healing, anytime you do any sort of energy work or healing divination work, anytime you're tapping into the Akashic records, whatever it is that you do, you need psychic protection in place first. I don't care. It could be as innocuous as using that really cool pendulum that Michelle sent me this morning. Even just using that, you need your psychic protection in place because you're sending out, you're sending out intentions that all kinds of things can pick up on. I was even told the other day, like a friend of mine has been, it's like her house has been a revolving door for entities. And we were trying to figure out what the cause was. So we sat down with the guides yesterday and we asked, like, what is going on? Like, what is causing all of this? And they said that just lighting candles, just lighting her stove was enough to call in entities because of how powerful she is. Isn't that crazy? Just lighting her stove, just lighting candles around the house. This person was actually calling in entities because they saw her using her powers. And they're like, oh, she's working again. Let's get her, Like, isn't that crazy? Like, so this is why I say even lighting a fucking candle, you guys, it's the craziest thing. I'm well aware how this sounds, okay? But even lighting a candle, it's a really good idea to make sure that you set intentions. You're not just lighting candles, right? Because if anything that you create, that even if you're just creating a spark of light, you're bringing in attention that you didn't even know you were bringing in. So just for the record, like it is very important to be aware of everything that is, being called forth whenever you set your intentions for anything. So let's just say you wanted some pretty ambiance around the house. So you're walking around and lighting 10 different candles around your house without setting any intention. You're just lighting the candles, right? You're like, oh, I just want to light the candles, make it look pretty in here. Your subconscious is running away with you doing whatever it wants to manifest during the lighting of those candles. If your brain is not setting a specific intention, then unfortunately it's going to do its own thing. So this is why everything you do needs to be done with intent. It needs to be done with a conscious awareness. Gary says even lighting cigarettes. Yeah, because if you think about it, that tobacco that you are lighting, you're inhaling that into your body. That is something that you're bringing into yourself. So let's say, for example, that every time you take a cigarette out of the pack and you think, oh, I shouldn't be smoking this shit. This shit's going to kill me someday. Ah, well, fuck it. I need a light, If you have that thought, then technically every single time you're lighting a cigarette, you're setting that intention. And to say like it's the opposite, yeah, you could even say the opposite, where every time you light a cigarette, you're like, this is only going to serve me to my highest good. This is only going to benefit me to my highest good. If you think positive things and you truly believe that it's not going to do you any harm, it's less likely to do harm to you because you are actually, setting that intention. Which is really interesting too, because there was somebody that booked a clearing for me not too long ago, and they were a tobacco farmer in a past life, right? And so they were saying like the tobacco is actually highly beneficial for them. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, it doesn't do them any harm whatsoever. I was like, even smoking it? And they're like, no, as long as they're smoking the organic homegrown stuff with no additives, it's actually highly beneficial for them. It's important, though, that they are aware of this, though, because if they believe it's not going to be beneficial for them, then they change that. And I blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So yeah, I actually got to put that in the report that, that if you really set your intention and you have that deep connection because they were a tobacco farmer in a past life and they loved it, for the record, like they were talking about how they really loved being a tobacco farmer. That was a very happy lifetime for them. So whenever they imbue themselves with that tobacco now, especially if it's organic, homegrown, it actually fills them with love and happiness. Isn't that weird? Meanwhile, we're talking about how cigarettes kill everybody and all these bad things about it. But you got to remember, tobacco is considered sacred in Peru. Like all the indigenous shamans, they smoke it, but they don't mix it with all the other shit. They don't, they use it just organically by itself. So my point is in all of this, intention is everything. And you'd be surprised how much sometimes things that are even considered to be harmful can actually be considered positive to you as long as you transmute that energy into something else. But yeah, I'm with Nathalie on this. The chemicals in tobacco is what is harmful. Your lungs naturally cleanse themselves anyway. So as long as you give your lungs a break, a long enough break. I go off as a smoker. I mean, I don't smoke tobacco, but I do. I go on a hiatus every few months just to make sure that I give myself a chance to recover from it. But, it's hard enough down here getting by as a human without having some kind of a vice. So I make no apologies. So whatever you like is what you like. No judgment. So whatever it is that gives you a feeling of relief and relaxation and enjoyment, fair play. Just make sure that you're setting the right intentions and that you're using it in a smart way. And that you're not ingesting a whole bunch of other funky shit along with it when you are using it. So saw a video that nicotine is now one of the things that can destroy nano that worked really hard to ban nicotine products here. So it makes you wonder. Like I said, tobacco is not really what's harming people. It's all the chemicals. They put thousands of chemicals in a cigarette and then they want to blame the tobacco. And I mean, yeah, obviously, anything that you use in excess could be harmful. You could be, harming yourself with cheeseburgers. It really is all about moderation and how you go about those things and how you, conduct yourself when using those things. So everything has a rhyme and a reason. Everything has a purpose, and all things have some kind of beneficial purpose for them. It's just whether or not we're using it for the beneficial purpose or whether we're using it for some other purpose is the question. So anyway, I'm just reading through the comments. If I get the chance to smoke the herb again, I don't think I could. See, this is what I say. Like everybody kind of works their things out every once in a while. It's like you get over it. And for example, like people with alcohol, I have a friend who lives in France. And it's a lot more of a cultural thing there. You know, it's like they drink for breakfast and then they drink for lunch and then they drink for dinner. So she had a very different standpoint about it, though, is she just considers it to be like a social thing. She doesn't consider it to be detrimental in any way, to the point where she even Reikis every drink that she has. And what's funny is she told me that she went to her doctor, and the doctor was asking her how much she consumes, and she told them, and they were like, "Are you sure your liver is like really healthy? Like you doesn't look like you drink at all." They were astonished when they saw the health of her liver when she confessed to them that she drinks all day long. And then they were like, "What, really?" But she does use moderation, and she does Reiki everything she puts in her body. I've seen her do it. Every time she sits down with a drink, she Reikis it, and she says wonderful things. She says affirmations to the drink, and she says things like, "This is only going to serve me to my highest good." Everything she puts in her body, she says that too. So it makes you wonder how much of these things you're actually transmuting, because for her, it's working. So it's the the hardest part about all of that is consistency, because so many of us will do it for like 1 or 2 days where we start raking everything we eat or drink or smoke or whatever it is, and then we end up forgetting about it and then we stop doing it. So consistency is key. You can transmute anything. We are all alchemists. Every single one of you is a medium, is a psychic, and is an alchemist. It's just that if you're not using the gift, you're not even aware that you have it. Somebody said on YouTube, what's the difference between level 1s, 2s, and 3 attachments? Level 1s are elementals. Not always elementals. They're the lower level stuff. They're the easy to remove things. They could be anything from some kind of an elemental creature, like we see the gargoyle types very often. Those are the most common types. They look just like gremlins. If you ever see the movie Gremlins, they look exactly like that. Like, don't feed them after midnight. Yeah, no joke. Like that is what they look like. And they have claws and everything, and they're really creepy. But then you also get level 1s that are like animalistic counterparts. Like you'll have like an astral eel or some kind of freaky little, like they said, there were like these lobster tail looking things attached to people. Like you get the weirdest stuff attached to you. The level 1s are by far the weirdest things because they're like I said, they're like more elemental earth energy type things. But they're very they're just there to be annoying. They're nuisances. They're not there to cause any actual damage. They can when they're in numbers. There was one soldier I cleared that had 7 of them attached to him. He was like this big, like 6'5" type man, right? And they said, the guys told me that like they're climbing him like a tree. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, no, they're running circles around him. They're climbing on his shoulders. They're sitting on his head. It's like they're climbing this poor guy like a tree, and they're causing all kinds of issues for him. And I was like, I'm not surprised. It was 7 of them. So yeah, when you have multiple, then yeah, they do end up causing some issues. But then you get the level 2s. The level 2s are the demonics. Those are the more powerful thought forms that we manifest. Because level 1s can also be thought forms. All things can be thought forms. Technically, we're all thought forms if you think about it. If you want to get technical, even us humans are thought forms. Somebody had to think us up before we took a physical body. So yeah, everything in existence is a thought form, including the demonic entities. And demonics are created through emotions, negative emotions, fears, beliefs, trauma. They're created through watching movies. If people watch, let's say, for example, you watch the movie, I don't know, Predator, because we were talking about Predator earlier, and you truly believe that being in the movie exists, well, you can manifest a thought form version of Predator in your mindset that would be more of like a demonic version. And because people believe in them, they manifest them. We see demonic beings all the time that look like the devil. Like, I'm not even kidding. They'll describe it. I'll be like, oh, it's like an old world one. And they'll be like, what do you mean? And they'll tell me, they said, oh, it's got like the big red horns and it's got the big tail and the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why does it choose to look like that? And they said it didn't choose to look like that. Whoever manifested it, who believes in Satan, manifested it to look that way. So if you believe in demons, you're creating demons, just for the record, which is quite ironic considering how, I mean, we create them all the time. We humans create them on a daily basis without even being aware of what we're creating. This is another reason for this whole 3D quarantine thing. So the demonic beings are mostly, like I said, they're created through belief. They're created through thought. So if we stopped believing in demons, if we stopped manifesting them through all kinds of movies and dark dreams and this is the problem, right? Is our dream state manifests a lot of these things too. So you don't even have to consciously be aware of something in order to manifest it in the astral. So this is one of the reasons why there's so many demons on this planet, is because not only are there ones that we create externally, kind of like Frankenstein's monster. So an external version would be something like, you know, like the demonic entity that's now harassing your neighbors just because you believe in demons and you've been watching horror movies. The next thing you know, you create one in the astral, and then it's going to be set to purpose. It's like creating Frankenstein's monster, where they go off and start destroying the town. You may have created it and put all the parts together, but now it's got a mind of its own, and it's going to go and do whatever kind of destruction it wants to do. So that is how many of them are created. We are not even aware that we're creating them, which is the crazy thing. But they can be easily dissolved, because technically, since you're manifesting them, you can demanifest them. You can actually dissolve these creatures through lack of belief. Even just declare that, it's like the opposite of Tinkerbell. When we're clapping, we tell them we believe in you. We look at them, we're like, you're not fucking real. You tell them that. You say, no, you're not real. You're a thought form. Get out of here. You know, like, this is one of the ways you can actually dissolve them. It's all about belief, right? And if you don't believe, you can tell them where to go. But the problem is that many of them are so powerful. They've been around for so long. Some of them are so old world. We found one attached to somebody that had the skull of a ram, and it was wrapped in a sheep's skull and a sheepskin, and it was carrying some kind of freaky twisted staff. And when we tuned into it, I was like, damn, that sounds like some old, like, Jewish demon, like, because they talk about those old world demons in their Kabbalism and things like that. I've actually heard of them before by studying Kabbalism and other things. So it makes you wonder, like, which one manifested them first? Did they manifest those old world demons by talking about them and believing in them? Or were they talking and believing about them just because they had already seen them? It's like the chicken or the egg argument. Like, where are these things even becoming a thing? So anyway, and then the level 3s are galactics. Those are ETs. Level 3s are literally living, breathing extraterrestrials, just for the record. A lot of people, we talk about level 3s being reptilians. They're not all reptilians. We find a lot of different kinds. And they're astral projecting in most places. In most cases, they do astral project. The reptilians that attach to people, they're not like leaving their underground systems and coming up here. They're messing with us through psychic attacks. Reptilians are extremely powerful. So when a level 3 attachment, there's different kinds when it comes to level 3. So you can have a psychic attack form of attachment from a level 3, which is what I was dealing with, the little fuckers, because that's what they do, is they can literally attack you with their astral form. That's how powerful their astral form is, right? But then you get other versions of creatures that are out of phase with our reality. So they could literally be in your freaking house and you're not even aware they're there because they're out of phase with your reality. So you're in 3D, they're in 5D or 4D. So you can kind of hear maybe creaking around the house, or you'll notice your electronics are acting up, or you'll notice there's something that you can feel the presence of in the house, but you won't be able to see it and you won't be able to hear it correctly because, yeah, it's like out of phase. It's like it's not tuned into that radio station, so to speak. Your frequency is shifted. So even though it's in your house and it's a physical being, it may not be able to be seen because you're in different realities. But just because you're in different realities does not mean it cannot mess with you. Doesn't mean that you can't put things like implants and cords and hooks and all kinds of stuff there. So the level 3s, that's why we call them level 3s. They are the most formidable of all and the most difficult to remove because the soul guides can't kill them. So the soul guides, especially the discarnate ones, there's very little a discarnate guide can actually do when it comes to these galactic beings, because they're not technically in the astral. Many of them are even in 5D. And not only that, but the soul guide is not, you can't just like kill somebody just because they're messing with us. Like, the guides don't work that way. So whenever there's a level 3, it gets a lot more complicated because, like I said, it is a living, breathing being. And that's why sometimes now, like, they don't even mess around. They're not even the galactics that are there doing the clearings. They just call in other galactics to clear them. Like, in most cases, when you have some kind of a level 3, we are calling in like the Irma and the Arcturians to come and remove them. And they put them in cages, like literally in cages. I've had a couple of the mediums describe it to me. It's kind of like Jurassic Park, where if you've seen that Jurassic Park, or was it not Jurassic Park, the third one, Jurassic World, when they got that hallway and there's just filled with big cages and they've got all the dinosaurs all looking forlorn in the cages. Yeah, it's kind of like that, where the Irma literally are. They're rounding them up and putting them in cages and taking them off world. Where they're taking them, I have no idea. Something tells me the Irma are not like the discarnates, and the Irma don't have qualms about, some of these bad Lizzies that they're removing from people. Pretty sure that is actually the case for some of them. But whatever they do with them, I'm just glad they're gone. And they're not messing with us anymore. So thanks to the Irma, we're so grateful for all of you guys and all the heavy lifting you're doing down here, so to speak. How many humans get asked to join the Galactic Federation? Zip. Zilch. Zero. None. Not Earth humans anyway. There's a lot of humans in the cosmos out there. We're not the only planet full of humans. But Earth humans, no, they don't let us join the Federation. Are you kidding? They are like our zookeepers. That's like, it's like, if you think about it, right? It's like letting a giraffe join the board of directors at the zoo. Do you think they're ever going to allow that? No. They don't want the animals to be able to make decisions for themselves. So no, they think, well, obviously there's going to be some of us on this planet that are well connected and that do know what's going on, especially because they are in contact with other races. But in most cases, no, they're gonna keep messing with us because they have a vested interest in keeping things the way they are. So yeah, we have just as much chance of ending up on that board of directors as a giraffe would. Seriously. Yeah, they're not going to let us make decisions for ourselves anytime soon. They keep claiming that is why they're leaving us alone so we can make our own decisions, but that's not at all the case. In fact, the whole Prime Directive thing is bullshit. They're like, no, we have to leave humans alone so they can, develop on their own. But we're not on our own. We have never been on our own. We have been messed with since the minute we were created. We were created by ETs. We have been controlled by ETs, and we are ETs. So really, the only reason they don't allow us to join the Federation is because they don't want slaves to be able to defend themselves or to speak up for themselves. So the zoo monkeys have gotten loose. Exactly, Leanne. They don't want the zoo monkeys getting loose. Nope. No, they don't want to control the monkeys as much as possible. So they're much happier keeping us in the zoo, so to speak. And also keep in mind that we're not the only thing they're trying to keep in quarantine here. There are a lot of other planets that are a lot happier now with all the Lizzies being stuck here with us. So they also want to keep not just us here, but they want to keep all the other dark stuff on this planet. They want to keep the Lizzies here. They want to keep the Gregors here. I heard the reptilians are short-range psychics and humans are long-range. That is not true in the slightest. In fact, it's a long story, but yeah, reptilians can definitely astral project even all the way to the Pleiades. Long story how I found that tidbit out, and I can't really explain how I know, but it's thanks to me that the Salacians had a visitor on their homeworld for the first time in thousands of years. And it wasn't a nice visitor. So that's all I'm going to say on the subject. But yeah, thanks to me. Yes, there was a reptilian that popped into the Salatian homeworld, and they were not happy about that one bit. So yeah, like I said, these things happen. You're not even aware of it. It was the first time in a couple thousand years that they've had that kind of visitor. And that's 440,000 light years, no, 440 light years away. So we're talking like thousands of years of travel, and they can just, boom, teleport their consciousness there instantly. So no, reptilians can teleport their consciousness anywhere, even off world, for the record. I've heard them do it, I should say. Enki gave us tools, and Lil didn't like that very much. Yeah, the whole reptilian hierarchy thing is a whole another conversation in itself. So any other final questions? I've been sitting here talking with you guys for nearly 90 minutes. I've enjoyed the conversation. It was supposed to be an hour, but I've enjoyed chatting with you guys so much today. I just random questions. Any other questions before I go and bake cookies and wrap more presents? My sister is visiting today. That'll be nice to spend some time with my sibling. Michelle says Enki is the more positive one. So the story goes. Depends on who's telling the story. There's a lot of stories about Enki in South Africa, for the record. When I went down to Michael Tellinger's place and helped run Ubuntu Stone Circle and Adam's Calendar and all those stone circles down there, Enki was talked about by all the locals. They called it Enki's Laboratory. That was their name for Adam's Calendar before somebody went and changed it. It was Enki's Laboratory. So it makes you wonder, like, why the locals have been calling something Enki's Laboratory for thousands of years. The winner always writes the story. Yeah, exactly, Jessica. Are reptilians part of Galactic Council? No. No, they're not part of the Galactic Federation either. Nope. The Galactic Federation is just another layer of politics, for the record. Like, a lot of people think of them as some kind of divine thing, and that's because of the whole Galactic Federation of Light. That is a psyop, by the way. According to all the Pleiadians I've talked to, the Galactic Federation of Light is a psyop, and that's not actually a real thing. The Galactic Federation is a real thing, but it's really just more politics. It's space politics. It's the same bureaucratic bullshit that we have here on Earth, just on a galactic level. It's exactly the same. In fact, you know what? The most underwhelming thing I think I've learned from all spirituality, considering how much I can't stand hierarchies in politics, the most disappointing thing I think I've learned about all of this spiritual stuff is the fact that there's still going to be politics and bureaucrats on every level. Doesn't matter we're talking about the spirit level, doesn't matter if we're talking about the dimensions and the councils and all of those things. Every single rung of the ladder has more bureaucrats and people bossing people around below them. Ooh. Eh. What was that? What the fuck was that? Did you guys see that? See, I need to stop running my mouth about the Federation. Making my house haunted. Are you guys seeing this? That was really weird. Okay, maybe I will go get my giant doobie smudge. It's still there. What the hell is that? I don't want to touch my light. It does. It looks like an ectoplasm cloud. Look. Are you guys seeing that? Okay, I love the Federation. The Federation is awesome. You gotta be careful what you fucking say. Holy shit. That's not. What is that? Somebody's visiting for real for that to be doing that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to review that. Did you guys see that? That was like a cloud. There's no, I'm telling you, that was weird. That was really cool. No, I can still see like there's like a weird smoky aura. All right, I'm gonna go get my doobie smudge now. I don't know why. I feel like somebody's showing off right now. Somebody's totally showing off right now. So you're right, Raquel. That has never happened before. That's why I'm a bit like, whoa, what are you guys doing? But you're right, it's still there. Okay. No, it's not working. All right. Chantal predicted that. All right. Well, anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to go find my giant smudge stick now. Never a dull moment on here. It does. You guys can still see like this weird aura around it, right? Sharon says my audio has gone goofy too. I'm not surprised. Okay, zip. This is what happens when you run your mouth, guys. It was really weird. Ah. So anyway, I don't know, but I got goosebumps like all over my whole body when that happened. So obviously somebody is showing off right now. I think it's I'm not getting any bad juju. So somebody's clearly showing off right now. And it's still there. You can still see this weird aura thing. That is so weird, you guys. Okay. Anyway, I love you guys. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys on Monday. Mwah! I'm going to go get my doobie smudge. I'll see you guys later. Bye.